Have you ever seen your cat suddenly turn and stare into an empty corner, perk up its ears like it hears someone calling, or rush to the front door before you have touched the handle? Most pet owners see moments like that and think, cats are just being weird. But what is the truth? A lot of behaviors that seem random to you are actually incredibly precise responses to a world humans can barely perceive in full. Cats do not live in the same version of a room that you do. They move through the same house, but they hear differently, see differently, feel differently, and sometimes they can even sense tiny changes happening inside your own body. Once you understand that, you stop seeing your cat's strange behavior as something confusing. You start to realize cats are not as mysterious as we think. They are simply reacting to signals you never noticed. Number 1. When your cat stares into empty space, it may be seeing what your eyes missed. One of the behaviors that unsettles people the most is when a cat sits completely still, eyes locked on an empty spot in the room. You look too, there is nothing there. And in that exact moment, your mind starts creating all kinds of stories. Is something in the room? Is there something strange there? Can the cat see something I am not supposed to know about? But most of the time, the answer is much simpler, and honestly much more fascinating. A cat's eyes do not see the world the way human eyes do. They are far more sensitive to tiny movements. A speck of dust floating through a beam of sunlight. A tiny insect you never noticed. A shadow shifting because the curtain moved just a little. A faint reflection so subtle your eyes skip right past it. To you, the room looks still. To your cat, something is always moving. That is why cats can become intensely focused on things you think are not even there. It is not because they are imagining things. It is because their predator nervous system is still highly active. Cats are born to detect the smallest changes. In the wild, that is how they notice prey before prey notices them. And even though they may live in a bedroom now, that instinct does not disappear. It just changes its stage. If this sounds exactly like your cat, comment 1. Number 2. There are sounds in your home that may stress your cat, even when you hear nothing at all. Have you ever seen your cat suddenly flatten its ears, turn its head, or leave a corner of the house that feels completely quiet to you? A lot of people assume the cat is just being picky or moody, but that is usually not the case. Your home is not as silent as it seems. There are high-pitched tones, thin electronic noises, background vibrations from devices, outlets, chargers, screens, lamps, and tiny sound frequencies that the human ear barely registers. But for a cat, those sounds can become a constant layer of background noise. In other words, you may be relaxing in a room that feels peaceful, while your cat is quietly trying to tolerate an irritating sound that never stops. That is why there are places in your home that seem perfectly fine to you, but your cat does not want to stay there for long. It is not because your cat hates that chair. It is because from your cat's point of view, that spot is not as calm as you think. This also helps explain why cats often react first. Before you hear someone walking down the hallway, before you realize something just turned on, before you notice someone has arrived at the door, cats are not predicting the future. They are simply picking up the signal earlier than you do. Number 3. Why cats change their behavior before it rains or before the air shifts. A lot of cat owners have seen this happen. Their cat seems completely normal, then suddenly becomes restless, changes sleeping spots, hides in a covered space, or starts pacing like it is waiting for something. And then a little later the weather changes. People often call that intuition, but in reality what the cat is reacting to is not something mystical. It is a very real shift in the environment. A cat's body is extremely sensitive to changes in the world around it. The air pressure feels different, background vibrations feel different, the smell in the air changes, even the stillness of the room feels different. Humans usually do not notice anything until the rain has already arrived, but your cat may have already sensed the opening signals. That is why many behaviors that seem random are actually survival responses. Your cat does not need to understand that rain is coming. It only needs to feel that the environment is no longer the same as it was 10 minutes ago. And for an animal that lives through a sense of safety, the moment the rhythm of the environment changes, its behavior changes too. Number 4. Cats do not remember you by your face alone. They also remember your sound signature. One thing that feels almost strange to many people is this: how does your cat know you are about to come home? Sometimes you have not even opened the door yet, and your cat is already there waiting. A lot of people call that a spiritual bond. But before we make it something mystical, it helps to look at something simpler first. Your cat has learned you very deeply. Cats do not just know your face. They know the rhythm of your footsteps. They know the sound of your keys. They know the sound of your car door. They know the specific movement pattern that belongs to you and no one else. Humans usually recognize each other through conscious thought. Cats recognize a lot through repeated sensory patterns. You do not need to announce yourself. To your cat, you have already arrived through sound long before you walk in. That is why cats do not react the same way to every person. Not everyone passing the door is you. Not everyone walking up the stairs has your rhythm. Over time, a cat builds an entire sensory profile of the person it lives with, and that is the beautiful part. It means you are not only present to your cat when you touch it, you are present from the moment your approach begins. If this feels exactly right to you, comment 2. Number 5. What your cat is really reading in you is not your words, but your physical state. This is the part many cat owners have experienced, but struggle to explain. There are days when you feel exhausted, stressed, or quietly sad, and your cat suddenly comes closer. Not always in an obvious way. Some cats just lie near you. Some hold your gaze a little longer. Some sit beside you in silence. Some follow you from room to room. A lot of people call that comfort. And yes, that feeling is real. But what often triggers that behavior begins with biology before it reaches emotion. When you are anxious or under stress, your breathing changes. The speed of your movements changes. Your muscles stay more tense. Even your body scent can shift in subtle ways. Your daily rhythm changes. The energy you carry feels different. Cats live very close to those tiny shifts. Your cat does not need to understand why you are upset. It only needs to notice this: your body does not feel the same today. And because cats are extremely good at reading stability, they notice that difference immediately. That is why some cats become more attached when you are not okay. It is not because they are guessing. It is because they are responding to real signals. Number 6. The biggest mistake people make is assuming cats are indifferent when in reality, they are observing everything very deeply. There is a very common misunderstanding about cats: that they are cold, that they are distant, that they do not pay much attention to people. But the more closely you watch them, the more you realize cats are not indifferent at all. They just do not express themselves in loud, obvious ways. A dog may run to greet you at the door. A cat may simply lift its head at the exact moment you walk in. A dog may show its feelings immediately. A cat may register everything in silence. But quiet does not mean shallow. In fact, many of the behaviors people call strange are actually proof that your cat is paying far more attention to the world and to you than you realize. It notices when the rhythm of the room changes. It notices when the atmosphere feels different. It knows when you are getting close to home. It knows when your body does not feel quite the same today. And that is why cats sometimes react before you even understand what is happening. Not because they are mysterious, but because their sensitivity to life is much sharper than their calm appearance makes it seem. If you had to reduce this entire video to one single truth, it would be this: cats do not live inside the same sensory layer of reality that humans do. They do not need the world to be loud to know something has changed. They do not need things to be obvious to sense that something is off. They do not need you to say a word to know that something about you feels different today. And maybe that is why so many cat behaviors seem strange at first. But the more you understand them, the more logical they become. So the next time your cat stares into an empty corner, suddenly changes where it wants to lie down, reacts to a sound you cannot hear, or quietly sits beside you on a day when you feel worn out, do not be too quick to assume it is doing something meaningless. It may simply be responding to a layer of signals you were never designed to detect. And sometimes, what makes cats so special is not that they are more mysterious than other animals. It is that they remind us of something important. This world contains far more than human eyes can see. If your cat has done at least one thing from this video, comment 1, 2, or 3. on the part you connected with most. Because there is a very good chance your cat understands more about you than you ever realized. If you had to reduce this entire video to one single truth, it would be this: cats do not live inside the same sensory layer of reality that humans do. They do not need the world to be loud to know something has changed. They do not need things to be obvious to sense that something is off. They do not need you to say a word to know that something about you feels different today. And maybe that is why so many cat behaviors seem strange at first. But the more you understand them, the more logical they become. So the next time your cat stares into an empty corner, suddenly changes where it wants to lie down, reacts to a sound you cannot hear, or quietly sits beside you on a day when you feel worn out, do not be too quick to assume it is doing something meaningless. It may simply be responding to a layer of signals you were never designed to detect. And sometimes, what makes cats so special is not that they are more mysterious than other animals. It is that they remind us of something important. This world contains far more than human eyes can see. If your cat has done at least one thing from this video, comment 1, 2, or 3 on the part you connected with most. Because there is a very good chance your cat understands more about you than you ever realized.